One complaint about Fastlane is that it just seemed far too predictable, so I'm glad that we saw a few swerves tonight, which at least helped keep things interesting, if not a little bit confusing at times. Fastlane was good. It wasn't amazing by any means, but there were good points, there were bad points. Let's take a look at what happened at Fastlane 2019. Kicking things off with the pre-show. Now, originally we were going to see two matches here, but Rey vs Andrade got changed into a four-way for the US title, so just one match here, Rusev and Nakamura taking on Big E and Xavier Woods of the New Day. Worth mentioning before the match, some loser approaches the New Day and tells Kofi that he's needed in Vince's office to talk about the WWE title match. Ooh! As for the match itself, not that much to say here. Nakamura controls Xavier, then Rusev controls Xavier, back to Nakamura, but none of it matters because despite the fact that they've got a whole pissing hour to show us promos, to show us ads, they still managed to interrupt this one twice. Really makes you care, huh? Woods finally manages to get the hot tag to Big E. Big E comes in, gets a bit of offense in, but then gets kicked lots and lots by Shinsuke Nakamura. There's a match kick. Lana interferes at one point. Woods ends up getting caught in the accolade, and this was a cool moment. Just classic, simple heel work. So he's trying to get to the rope, and Nakamura just pulls the rope back. Simple but effective. Anyway, to cut a long story short, New Day hit the up, up, down, down, and pick up the win. And it's frustrating because despite the fact that Nakamura and Rusev, they were doing some cool tag team offense together, they still couldn't feel more thrown together at this point, and a loss here does nothing to help them at all, especially when they've only gotten together so recently. These are two guys who are not only so tremendously talented, but they've also been so tremendously over. It just feels weird to be talking about Rusev and Nakamura in this way. Every bit of excitement that I had about both of those guys has been stripped away by WWE, and that's a real shame. On to the main card, and in my heart, this is the main event. The SmackDown Tag Team titles are on the line. The Usos versus Shane McMahon and Cleveland's own The Miz. Huge hometown pop for The Miz. Wonderful stuff. Shane starts things off in the ring, which is unusual because normally he's the hot tag. He's the best wrestler in the world. He's the man that you want to get in the ring. But no, that's The Miz this time, which was very, very jarring to see, especially seeing Shane in such a vulnerable position numerous times during this match. When they do get their first tag, they do a little Miz-O-Mac shuffle. I don't know what to call it, but it was fun. The Usos continue to isolate Shane, tagging in and out. Classic liquid tag team wrestling. Miz later goes up top and hits this class dive to the outside. It's still weird seeing Miz doing babyface stuff, but I bloody love it. There was a good near fall after the Miz gets hit with a pop-up Samoan drop, and then Miz hits the skull-crushing finale, but the ref is too busy tending to stupid old sweaty Shane McMahon on the floor. He doesn't notice that there's a pinfall happening. By the time he gets over there, 1, 2, kick out. Stupid ref. Stupid. Shane then sees an opportunity for a coast to coast, and you know he wants to take that. But Jimmy's in the corner essentially going, I think it was Jimmy, don't do it, Shane. Don't do it. But that's not going to stop the best wrestler in the world. Shane goes for the coast to coast and takes out the Uso mid-air. I think the idea was that he was going for like a diving splash or something. I don't really know what it was meant to be, but it looked bloody cool. The finish comes as George encourages his son, The Miz, to go up top once again. And The Miz goes, I'll do it, Dad. I'll make you proud. He goes up top for a frog splash, which we don't often see from The Miz, but the knees go up, rolled up, 1, 2, 3. So The Miz and Shane McMahon are absolutely gutted. After the match, they roll out of the ring and they high-five George, and they're just starting to walk away when all of a sudden Shane McMahon pounces and attacks The Miz. Oh my word, yes. Shane is just laying in the kicks as George watches on like a, well, what has absolutely no emotion, like a potato, and Shane just kicking, and then he grabs George's face and goes, look at what I'm doing. Look at what I'm doing to your son, as he absolutely continues to wreck The Miz. And finally, a little bit of emotion from George. So I'm glad that we finally got the heel turn here. I think we were all expecting it, but the WWE absolutely chose the right man for the job. Optimum heat, The Miz's hometown, his father watching on as Shane absolutely kills him, and it was absolutely brilliant. WWE, they can now play on Shane's inflated ego as the best wrestler in the world to make this really special. And this is one of the WrestleMania matches that I'm now most looking forward to. And that, I wasn't expecting that a few months ago, that's for sure. I didn't like this program at the beginning. I didn't like Shane and Miz. I didn't think they had the best chemistry. They grew into something that was really fun to watch. And you know what? It's going to be a really good match. All that Shane needs is some backup. I know he doesn't really need backup because he is the best wrestler in the world, but this is the time to bring back the Mean Street Posse. That one is free, Vince. Elias then comes out and does an admittedly brilliant song ragging on The Miz, his dad, Cleveland, you know the drill, and then that was it, fade to black. Oh. Next up is Asuka versus Mandy Rose for the SmackDown Women's title. Asuka locks in an ankle lock early, Sonya then makes the distraction, allowing Mandy to hit the knee for a 2 count, and then Mandy takes control. Later on, Sonya starts looking under the ring for, we assume, a weapon, but she can't find it. Where could that be? Maybe Hornswoggle's hidden it. But seriously, it was really awkward. Mandy then goes for the bed of roses, that gets countered into a knee, and then Sonya starts looking under the ring again. What's she looking for? This time she finds it. It's a kendo stick, but she's left the ring apron on top of the canvas, so Mandy trips up on the apron, gets absolutely booted in the face. That looked really stiff, and that is the end of the match. Asuka picks up the win. Sonya, you bloody fool. Nobody's ready for apron. So an interesting finish. Sure, it's not something that I've seen before, but I didn't like it at all. I think Asuka, it looked like the only reason that she won is because of Sonya's ineptitude. And yeah, maybe you want to break up Mandy and Sonya, that's probably coming pretty soon, but I don't think this is the best way to do it. It didn't work for me. WWE title match time, Daniel Bryan versus Kevin Owens, but no, it's a triple threat. Out comes Kofi Kingston to arguably the pop of the night. He's in the ring, he's ready to fight, but no, it's not a triple threat. It's a handicap match. Vince has screwed Kofi. It's Kofi Kingston versus both members of the Bar at the same time. So the New Day are banned from ringside. It's 2-on-1, but it's a good thing that George is still front row to come in and even the odds. Right, George? George? Nope, Kofi Kingston gets absolutely wrecked by the Bar. Brief flurries of offense, he tries to come back time and time again, but the numbers game is absolutely too much. And we all thought that this was going to be the most predictable show since Titanic. The ship sinks, by the way. So yeah, they just ruin Kofi. The New Day do try to run out, but they get jumped by Nakamura and Rusev, and of course Kofi Kingston gets pinned. A lot of people soured on this, especially the crowd who were chanting relentlessly, "This is boring," but I liked it. Let me tell you why. Vince McMahon's character now plays on reality. He is just Vince McMahon. He changes things on a whim for seemingly no reason. Sure, it doesn't make sense, but hey, that's Vince McMahon. The Bar looked like genuine heels in this match. They were completely relentless. And Kofi now looks like the ultimate underdog, and commentary selling him like the hero that we know he can be, which of course hints at a big WrestleMania match for Kofi Kingston. That's why I think it was good, even if it did drag just a little bit. So some decent storyline progression, but now this story relies solely on Kofi Kingston actually winning at WrestleMania. All of this stuff will be pointless and very frustrating if he doesn't win. It will be the biggest dismissal of fan support since, well, Rusev Day. So I say we need to give this time, but also, on that note, I don't see 3 big babyface wins, especially babyface underdog wins at WrestleMania. I don't see Seth, Becky, and Kofi all picking up the W, so time will tell. Up next, the Raw tag titles are on the line. The champions, The Revival, taking on Aleister Black and Ricochet, and Gable and Roode. A wonderful match here, a great showing for all 3 teams, but especially The Revival and Black and Ricochet, who just have tremendous chemistry together. I could watch these guys wrestle all day and all night. There's honestly just too much to talk about to do this match justice. It was fast-paced, it was really fun to watch. If you haven't seen it yet, this is the one that you need to go back and watch. There were other good matches on the card, but this is possibly my favorite of the night. There was a really scary Hurricane Rana spot from Ricochet to Dawson on the outside. There was one of the best tags that I've seen in recent memory as Ricochet flips over the corner post and Gable tags in as he's doing it, but Gable ends up eating the Shatter Machine and being pinned. The Revival still the Raw Tag Team Champions. After the match, it almost felt like the wrestlers didn't know that the match had ended, so Roode runs in and attacks the Revival, and then Ricochet ends up hitting the wonderful 630 to finish things off. off, even though things were already finished off. Predictable booking, sure, with Gable taking the pin, but also sensible booking. It keeps the belts on the Revival and also keeps Ricochet and Aleister Black looking strong. No complaints here, except that it could have gone 5 minutes longer because I was enjoying it that much. Next up, the US title is on the line in a previously non-advertised match. As I mentioned earlier, we were supposed to see Rey Mysterio versus Andrade in the pre-show. Instead, they're included in this match, a fatal four-way, including Samoa Joe, the champion, and R-Truth. Joe immediately takes out everyone with a dive to the outside through the middle rope, and then just lays into everyone with headbutts and chops and strikes, and I bloody love him, alright? There's loads to talk about here. It's always really difficult to cover these multi-man matches because there's just so much going on, but a few of the spots that stand out in my mind, there was a great Hurricane Rana spot that I think R-Truth tried to transition into what looked like an attitude adjustment. Maybe I'm reading a bit too much into that. Andrade was fantastic. Great heel work as always. He's so good. He's so intense. Hitting the Three Amigos, or two of the Three Amigos, and doing the whole Eddie thing. That was brilliant. And Andrade, once again, with a corkscrew plunger to the outside. Fantastic stuff. Truth later on started doing the 5 moves of doom, and I shouldn't enjoy this as much as I do, but 2019 R-Truth is absolutely terrific. He's so entertaining to watch, and he's about 90 years old. Props to you, R-Truth. You are wonderful, and I want to see you on TV every week. He's just funny and entertaining. He's really good. Later on, Rey Mysterio hits the 619, looks to finish things off, but gets caught in the Coquina clutch and is made to pass out by Samoa Joe, still your US champion. Thank the Lord for that. So initially, I was a little bit bothered about not seeing Andrade versus Rey on the pre-show, because that could have honestly been one of the best pre-show matches of all time. We know the chemistry that those two guys have together. But in retrospect, this makes a lot more sense. If you're going to have a US title match at WrestleMania, which Samoa Joe absolutely deserves, then you need to start building to that now. And a multi-man involving all of these guys, maybe a few others, would be absolutely wonderful. And more importantly, Rey Mysterio being the man to pass out to the Coquina clutch. What a rub for Joe. It legitimizes him. He's going to be a great champion. I hope he holds it for an awful long time, putting focus back on the mid-card titles, especially the US title, which is something that has been needed for an awful long time. Next up, the women's tag titles are on the line. Sasha and Bayley, the Boss and Hug connection, versus Nia and Tamina, the Samoan Slaughterhouse. Jesus Christ. This, unfortunately, was just a match, really. The crowd were completely dead for it. That wasn't helped by a few botches along the way. And one thing I thought was really weird, despite the fact that Sasha and Bayley, they're tagging, they're best friends and everything, their tag team offense, when they're together, it just consisted of Bayley holding Sasha's hand as Sasha did some cool moves. Bust out a heart attack or a doomsday device or something. Bayley ends up picking up the win with a Hurricane Rana into a pinfall, and yeah, as I say, just a match. Nia is still sloppy, Tamina is still boring, and not even Bayley and Sasha could save this one. After the match, the tag champions are laid out by the Samoan Slaughterhouse, more like the Samoan Borterhouse, because they're not fun to watch at all. And then Beth Phoenix, who's on commentary by the way, starts getting in Tamina's face, and then she gets attacked from behind. Natalya tries to make the save, and she gets laid out too. That doesn't last for long. And the heels stand tall. They've laid everybody out at ringside. And if this is building to the Samoan Slaughterhouse versus Natalya and Beth Phoenix, then I just don't want to see it that much. No offense to Natty or Beth, but no. Next up, it's the WWE title match. The new Daniel Bryan versus Kevin Owens versus versus Mustafa Ali, who actually gets booed when being introduced in the ring. It sort of reminded me of Rey Mysterio entering at number 30 in the Rumble. Poor bastard. What I don't understand is why would Vince substitute Kofi Kingston with a cruiserweight who hasn't really proved himself on the main roster yet? No offense to Mustafa Ali, obviously he's great. I know he was booked to be in the chamber match and he lost that spot, but still, what's Vince's beef with Kofi all of a sudden? He sells bloody loads of merch. Onto the match, KO and Mustafa immediately target Bryan. They throw him out of the ring, but even when these two are wrestling, the two baby faces, the crowd are just chanting, "We want Kofi, we want Kofi," and I can totally understand their frustration. They were promised something earlier in the night which they didn't get. They were toyed with, and although it makes sense from a wider perspective, the storyline leading up to WrestleMania, this match in isolation, I understand completely why they were were frustrated, but also those chants did take something away from the match, which was actually a really good match. There was a really scary moment where Daniel Bryan dropkicks Mustafa Ali to the outside, hitting the barrier, and that takes him out for a fair portion of the match while Owens and Bryan continue in the ring. Later on, the crowd's starting to pick up now. There's a great Spanish fly from Mustafa Ali to Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan just about manages to roll out, and then Mustafa goes for the 054 on Kevin Owens, misses, gets hit with a stunner. Daniel Bryan just about manages to get in and make the save, stop that pinfall from happening. And then later on again, Mustafa Ali with an amazing 450 on the ring apron on Daniel Bryan, and wow, it's so good. The crowd really picking up, getting into this match now. Thank the Lord. Rowan ends up losing his temper and trying to interfere, but gets taken out by Kevin Owens and Mustafa, and I don't know why he didn't just interfere earlier. It's a triple threat match. You can do what you want. Just grab a chair, lay them all out, Rowan. Don't wait next time. Lesson learned. Anyway, I'm going to get onto the finish, which was absolutely terrific. Mustafa Ali jumps up on the middle rope, goes for a splash, but gets hit with a running knee by Daniel Bryan. It was so cool. You need to see it. 1, 2, 3. Daniel Bryan is still the champion. Kevin Owens not taking the pinfall makes sense. He's just come back. Mustafa Ali managing to get the crowd behind him towards the end of the match, which is it's a relief because this could have really damaged Mustafa and completely unnecessarily. Next up is Becky Lynch versus Charlotte Flair. If Becky wins, it's a triple threat match at WrestleMania. Ronda Rousey, Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch. So Charlotte's out first, healing it up. Tremendous heel work by Charlotte Flair as always, and then out hobbles Becky Lynch, the man, and she tosses the crutch over the top rope, and the whole match pretty much consists of Becky making flurries of offense and then Charlotte just going back, working the leg, submission holds, kicking it out, doing anything she can to take Becky out. Becky trying to come back, she can't quite do it. Let's talk about the finish, shall we? So Charlotte locks in a figure 4 and then Ronda Rousey runs down the ramp and she punches Becky Lynch. And that's a lot. She's caused a DQ. Becky Lynch has won. She's been added to the triple threat match, or it's been made a triple threat match at WrestleMania. And this was underwhelming. So I just can't fully get my head around this. Yes, I know that Ronda Rousey said that she wanted Becky Lynch at WrestleMania all along. Now she's got what she wanted. Hooray! But in doing so, she's made Becky Lynch look like an absolute chump, and she's decreased her chances of winning at WrestleMania. And I know the idea is, hey, she's the baddest bitch on the planet, but I just think it made her look like the stupidest bitch on the planet. This story was already convoluted, it was overcomplicated, and I think that they just complicated it that little bit more. This story needs simplifying. I know the match at WrestleMania is going to be fantastic. I'm not worried about that. The moment of Becky winning at WrestleMania, should that happen, I think it will happen, is going to eclipse all of the terrible booking up until now, but this didn't work for me. Then Elias with another song. This time he runs down Becky Lynch and the Cleveland Browns. And then out comes Lacey Evans. Make this stop, for goodness sake. Fortunately, heel Randy Orton is here to save the day by attacking and RKOing heel Elias. And then Randy Orton gets attacked by AJ Styles. This is ludicrous right now. AJ Styles, I don't know how he got to the ring so quickly. Whatever, I'll forgive it. It's main event time. So the main event is, of course, that 6-man tag, the old Shield versus the new Shield. Sierra Hotel India Echo Lima Delta versus Sierra Hotel India Tango. Drew's great, obviously, and Baron Corbin's good too, and Bobby Lashley, it was alright in TNA. So first off, it was really bloody cool to see the Shield come through the crowd for perhaps the last time ever. Commentary was certainly selling the fact that this was the last time ever. We're not going to see this again. This is the end of an era. As for the match itself, it was fun. It was controlled WWE style chaos. I think it's what most of us were expecting. It felt like a house show match with the volume turned up to 11. And for what it was, I really enjoyed it. We saw Superman punches, we saw spears, we saw curb stomps, we saw dirty deeds, we saw drive-by, we saw the Shield triple powerbomb through the table, and then finally take Baron Corbin out with a triple powerbomb. It was really fun. It went on a bit, but essentially this was all about the moment at the end of the match and the closing shot of the show. The Shield, maybe for the last time ever, fists in the middle, and yeah, it was fun. It's really good to see Roman back, and I think that's the important thing here. This was a feel-good match to send the crowd home happy and finish the pay-per-view, a confusing pay-per-view, to say the least, on a very happy note. Actually, before I stop talking about this match, I'm going to mention two really cool spots. Seth's dive from the balcony was absolutely fantastic, and my favourite spot of the night was Seth very, very loudly swearing. That was absolutely wonderful. So yeah, a real mixed bag tonight. There was some perplexing booking decisions. My head is a little bit all over the place. The highlights were absolutely the US title match. That was great. The Raw Tag title match. That was great. The WWE title match. That really picked up and turned into a great match. And the low points, Asuka versus Mandy, and it pains me to say it, but Becky versus Charlotte. It didn't work for me. And I know a lot of people have a differing opinion on that. I get it. But it just, yeah, it didn't work for me. And it's a shame because it's a storyline that a month and a half ago we were all so into. They've needlessly complicated things. And you know what? WrestleMania as a whole has the chance to be absolutely fantastic. The matches are going to be great, but there's a lot of work that needs doing on certain storylines in the build up to that. We'll see. Thanks for watching. Let us know what you think in the comments down below. You can follow us on Twitter at Cultaholic. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Cultaholic. If you enjoy what we do here at Cultaholic, you can pledge to us on Patreon. That's patreon.com/Cultaholic. And most importantly, don't forget to hit subscribe and join us.